Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to another episode of the Boulevard Blake YouTube Key Thought series. Yes, this is getting up. We're getting close to 100, so going strong. Today, you'll see I have a spreadsheet open because I'm actually following up on the concept that I decided to roll out, which was to not use decks of KeyForge with my Winds of Exchange decks. So as a result, I've had to create some other sort of system for looking at things, and I'll go into that a little bit further and let you know how this experiment has been going for me, because it's very interesting, and I'm at a point now where I've got a sticker twist. So here we go. But before we get into that, we gotta do the card of the week. And this week, the card of the week is Fathom Reaver. So Fathom Reaver. It's a 4-power unfathomable creature that has play, create a token creature. And then it says, while you control a token creature, your opponent refills their hand to 1 less during their draw cards step. Really amazing card. I absolutely love it. I think it puts in a lot of work. It does all the best things. It's a 4-power creature, so it sticks. It creates a token, just really high value. I'm never disappointed to see this in an unfathomable house. So that's that. That's the card of the week, Fathom Reaver. Now, going on to my experiment here. So I mentioned before in a previous video to sass or not to sass, I think I said. And it was, I decided not to load my Winds of Exchange collection, any of my decks in. I only did 2, which was the 2 that I received from as a gift from KFC. Because I've had those for a ton, played them a bunch, and I was surprised that one of them was as highly rated as it was, because it sucked against the other one. But here we are. And as I started opening my own decks from GameFound and the other ones I had from my displays, I started to notice that I didn't want to put them into DoK. First of all, I couldn't put them into decks of KeyForge and have a score because it wasn't resolved yet. And then now I've been playing them for about a month without using DoK. And then once it went live, I also decided not to do it. I think that it's still settling. And I just decided, you know what, let's try not using it and just play all the decks and kind of suss out what I like the most anyways. And it's been an interesting experience. But one pain point within this experience came when I wanted to start making alliance decks. So I love alliance. I'm an advocate for it. If you listen to the podcast, you know this. I get a lot of enjoyment from the process of making an alliance deck, just as much as I do playing a new deck and making discovery. There's a twofold level of discovery and a level of cerebral tinkering that I really enjoy, that's not as involved as like an actual singleton or single card composition building a deck. Like having to use pods really simplifies the process, and I love that about alliance. So here we are now with my spreadsheet. So I have this spreadsheet here, and I just have all the decks, but you may notice it looks like a lot. It's because I actually took each deck and I split it pod by pod, because I did this for the purpose of making a alliance deck. So I wanted to look at the pods individually rather than looking at the deck as a whole. So everything has a blue thing here, so I can click a link to then view the cards in the deck and then see that house and see what it's composed of. But basically how I composed this whole thing was I put the house that was here, I put the token in the name of the deck, and then I just did basically what I did for Sealed Alliance. I pretty much did that. I put creature, house, number of creatures, number of Ember pips, Ember generation, which is cards that will generate Ember aside from reaping. They have some sort of way of generating Ember other than being a pip on it or through reaping if they're a creature. So their action or the function they do will help you create Ember. I just put that. It's probably the least important one when I'm looking at it, but it's just something I can note, so to speak. Then I have, of course, Ember control here, board control, efficiency, disruption, token generation, and then is there draw pips in the pod? Because that is something that could come into play, getting a little bit of extra efficiency in draw. Do you have a nice draw heavy pod where all the enhancements went in this one pod? Things like that I wanted to notice. Then I just put notable things within it. I haven't fully finished this. I have a ranking. It's like basically 1 to 5, and it's basically 1 I wouldn't use. 2 is it's really not great, but maybe it has a purpose. 3 is kind of middling, could synergize. 4 is good, but not top tier, but it's going to be good and you're going to want to consider it. And then the 5 is like, this deck should maybe be built around this, or it's going to be a perfect inclusion in a pod. And then just my and then I put my assessment here. I kind of went with a fairly generic things. Was consider, not great, okay, could synergize, and then consider, and then a reason why. So that's just how I did this, and this is how I did it. And then I have filters, so like especially if I'm looking and want to find a good Equidon pod, I can just then use the filter here, see all my Equidon decks and pods, and then assess the situation for what I want. Now, here is the real interesting aspect of all of this, is going through this process. I'm not sure I want to scan anything into DoK. And this is the true reason why I'm doing this video, is to give you this reasoning I've come to. The reason why I may not want to put anything into DoK, because I'm at a point now where I'm finding decks I love. I think they're so good. I love playing it. They're performing well. They're looking like top competitors. And what if I scan them and they really suck? And then just because this number exists, it will sway my feeling towards the deck. Regardless of me knowing that it's not rated highly, it changes my opinion. And the truth of the matter is, I would say this is not a blanket statement that everyone does this, but I think there's a vast majority of people who use DoK and probably consider their best decks things that are in their probably top 5 highest rated SAS decks, and that's what they use. I mean, there's obviously other decks that will fit certain needs, but what they consider like, these are my best decks, are probably at the top of their SAS. Now, not everyone, but I'm just saying a vast majority, I think, would fall into this category. Myself to a degree included. But I'm finding these decks are great, and I have no means of having a number or a score. I'm just going, the way this plays and performs is how I'm rating as this is my best deck in WoE, or this is in my top upper echelon of WoE. And whether that is true or not is kind of irrelevant because of the way I enjoy playing it and the way that it performs for me. And I don't need any external factor to help me come to this decision. So now I'm at a point where I'm not sure if I want to use DoK like this. What I wish I could have is DoK would show me my collection and I could use it as a means to organize, sort, filter aspects of my deck, cards, houses, things of that nature, sets, but without seeing any scoring or ranking system to have any sort of influence on what I'm doing. I would like it just to be a means of cataloging and organizing my collection without providing a score if I didn't want it. Like the ability to toggle that feature on and off would be huge, because I do want to use DoK. Like the organizational system it provides and the way to search for aspects and unique things is, I think, the greatest benefit that Decks of KeyForge provides. That UI system and the way it's been programmed is perfection. It's so much better than the Master Vault. It just allows you so many ways to look at different things. So I would love, the only stats to show is the creature count, Ember pips, number of artifacts, things like that, like how many like Tide cards, if that's relevant, mutants, if that's relevant, token creating cards, all those things are what I would like to see. So my assessment is I don't know if I want to use DoK for Winds of Exchange. I'm going to leave this as a set that doesn't go into DoK, and I may move forward with this. The only downside is the utility of utilizing search functions. So let me know your thoughts on this. Have you gone through this process? Do you agree with my assessment about using the upper half of, or the upper echelon of your DoK rankings as a means of what you really play or don't play, or play, I mean, as your best? So let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I love to hear everyone's comments on this. And as always, folks, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.